Hello and welcome back to the Bolton Wanderers Rebuild Career Mode here on dexteritybox. I had to say that about 3 times because try saying that really fast and clear into a microphone. It's not fun. This is obviously a career mode with some limits. Go and check out the last episode if you haven't already. But we have got transfer bans in place in certain situations. Currently, we don't, however, because we met all our objectives last season. Players like Rowe, we might try and bring in a little bit later. As you can see here, we've actually kept the short term from last season into this season, so we've got a long-term one. We've got to try and make youth sales profit at the end of this season. If we don't meet that, we're going to be in a ban. Within 3 seasons, increased season ticket capacity is a medium priority. We'll try and do that. Domestic success is to finish mid-table. I think we can do that. We built a decent squad last year. We survived and we finished mid-table last year, so I think we can do it this year. The most important one is going to be the financial, because if we don't meet that one, that's when we get the hard transfer ban. If we either fail the financial or youth development, we get a soft transfer ban, which means we can make loan signings and free transfers. But if we fail to make both of them, it's no transfers. It's absolutely no transfers at all. And remember, we also have to keep 6 players from our youth academy and the youth academy players that we inherited at Bolton within the squad at all times. 6 of them have had to come up through the youth ranks. That's what makes this career mode a little bit more different. As we're scouting players, we're setting up a season, we're rotating players in the training sessions, we're going to sell players. We are a selling club, unfortunately, but I'm not selling players for like 200 grand anymore, unless, like Ronan Darcy, I want him out because he was an absolute arse last season and he was a bit of a diva, bringing down the morale of the squad. We can't have that. I'll let him go if we can get over 200 grand for him. Start of the pre-season tournament against Waterford here. It is a loss, unfortunately. Not the best start to a tournament, but hopefully we can kick on. Ronan Darcy, they've agreed to pay 210,000 for him, so if we can get him off the books, that'll be decent as we go into this decent test against Port Vale. Port Vale will be a good sort of sign of where we'll be at, and a 2-0 win against them will do nicely. Of course, Ronan Darcy's move to Cork City is broken down because he's an absolute diva. He'll just want more money. The one thing I am going to do, we've got about 4.7 million. We've had 17 grand scouts for the entire season. This is a youth-focused career mode. We're going to spend over $1 million on a scout rather than making many transfers. We might make 1 transfer. If I actually add things up and say how much it's going to cost us to send the scouts out throughout the year, we're sending them on short bursts to pick up players and stuff like that, I think we'll have about 800,000 to spend on a player. If that, if you actually deduct it all, and we're going to meet the financial objectives, which is quite realistic for a League One club. 800,000's about what you'd end up with when you consider everything else. We get a win against Bury. Why do they keep putting Bury in? It's like Bolton and Bury, they keep drawing them together like, haha, you are the guys that suffered, which is not on. Come on, FIFA. We do have more offers coming in for Darcy, so hopefully we can get him out the door. This is the final. We lose in the final to Cambridge. We shouldn't really be losing that, but we did get to the final. It's a little bit more in the transfer budget from the pre-season tournament. Not too much to write home about. Ward's up to 57 at left back. He might actually come into our squad and replace our left back because we're getting good players through here. Connolly, Davis, these players are the ones that I'm looking at from Premier League and Championship clubs, trying to bring in some loan players that have got that quality that we wouldn't be able to afford. That's one thing we can do. And obviously getting some scout reports back on some frees here as well, which would be around the level. Pelopessi does stand out as the best here. He's already worth 400 grand. He's got no club. His sprint speed, his agility is good, and his acceleration's decent. He would be a good striker. Jack Clark, we've just signed him in the Wednesday career mode. Spoiler, obviously. Go and check that out if you've not seen that episode yet. But I don't think he's quite the standard. Well, he's too much of the standard for this career currently. Cordner would be a good centre-back. Burshik here, I'm not too sure about. We might have some keeping issues if we have to sell our keeper, because our keeper is one of our best players again. Seems to always happen. Matt Butcher might be good at central midfield. We do have a slightly weak midfield if we get an injury, so Butcher might be a decent one to bring in for a loan. The wages are going to be an issue, but hopefully we can get the clubs to help us out. And if we can go halfway on a lot of these, that'll be decent. Corey Bard, maybe when we get to the Championship, if we can get to the Championship at some point, he'd be a good signing. He's fairly cheap if he's around that when we get there. Nemcha, too rich for our blood at the minute. He would be a good sort of player, but we're not playing a cam currently either. I am going to go in for Cordner straight away because our back two were really letting us down last season. I think that's where we can improve. So we just need to try and get a good wage split on him because he's on 5.5 grand, which to be fair would be all right, but we're going to try and bring it down even more. If we can bring it around, I like a 45-55 split if we can actually get it there. I do try and get it. It usually works. Sometimes they get insulted with it, but in this case, Eddie Howe says, yes, thank you. You can take him on loan, so hopefully he agrees and he comes to the squad. Gonna go in for Pelopessi. He is definitely the best out of the frees we've scouted so far. 4-star weak foot and 3-star skill moves as well. If I was actually not simming this, if this wasn't a sim to glory, he'd be very usable in this squad. He wants a crucial role, which is quite annoying for an 18-year-old. Give him 3 years, but he's demanding 5. We'll meet in the middle at 4. These young players coming from abroad, they want big contracts because they want to stay, have security. But he's not wanting that much money. He's wanting 700 quid with... Well, no, he's wanting 750 in the end, actually. We try and meet in the middle somewhere. 750 is nothing, especially if he can grow. Cordner's in. Let's now try and go in for our star striker. We've got Pelopessi, the one to grow, but Connolly, 67 overall at our level. He could get us the goals. He could be the key this season if we can get him on a decent wage split here. I'm happy to pay up to half of his wages. Yet again, going for that 45-55. Will they take it? They do. Connolly, I really hope he accepts because he would be our best player pretty much going forward and we need his goals. But Brighton putting a spanner in the works, well, not them specifically, but them receiving an offer over $1 million for him might do that. Hopefully, he says, nah, I'd rather go on loan and try and get back into the Brighton squad at some point. And he does do that because we get Cordner and Connolly loaned in, which is 2 amazing loan signings for this season. And now if you take a look at this squad, it's not too bad. Might have to do something about the left-back position, but Reed is strong in net. Cordner goes straight in as our best centre-back. Connolly looks strong up front with 67, with Weir behind him at 64. We've kept Lowe. Obviously, Lowe is our best player still. He is nearly 30, though, so he does count as one of those players that's not in the 6 that we brought through the youth ranks. Looking at our youth academy, we've got Liam Ward here at left-back. He's already higher than Wright, so I'm actually going to put him in the squad over White, sorry, not Wright, and he's going in and he will be a better addition and we can still grow him because he's only 17. The league starts, we're against MK Dons. Let's try and get a result here. It's going to be pretty easy actually by the looks of it. McLean gets a red card, which is annoying, but 5-0 win. We're a mid-table side, guys. I love these press conferences. They're talking about how amazing it was that I brought Pelopessi in. Of course, it will take him a while to settle in though, friends. Why is it that nobody asks why I'm wearing the same suit and same hat and the hair's the exact same way every time I come and do a press conference? But you know, look at this! Do you reckon that Tranmere Rovers is concerned? Is concerned. GCSE English, boys. Honestly, where did EA put all this money that they get from packs? I think we all know, really, let's be honest. Anyway, Tranmere versus Bolton. Is Tranmere concerned? No, they're not. Tranmere is not concerned because they battered us 3-1. Wonderful. But let's see if we can get something in the cup match against Birmingham. That's just how this game is. We get a result in the cup against a stronger Birmingham side, but we got battered by Tranmere. I'm not going to show you everything we do with the youth academy here, guys. We do sign a left back there. A right back in Harrison. But there's so much I do with the youth academy in this. There's just bits I cut out. Just know that I will show you if it's important, like when we sign a player like Harrison here, that will be one that we grow for the future. I'm also going to trim the fat of the youth academy. We're going to get rid of the players that are just hanging on now. We've got that position to be able to do that. Match against Rochdale here. Can we get off to another win? We get a 3-2 scrappy win. Harrison, not the Harrison I was just talking about, the winger we brought in last season, gets us 2 goals there. Here I'm scouting a bunch of centre-backs. It would be nice to bring in one on an actual permanent transfer in January and then actually sign some on frees if we can find decent frees, realistic frees that will keep within the ethos of this career mode that we can possibly bring in for next season depending on our league position, things like that. Offer comes in for Lowe. We are a selling club. If I can get around the 1 million, I won't take less than 1.2 for him because he's our best player. Well, 1.1. If we can get that for him, I will ship him on, but nothing less, I'm afraid, at the minute, especially at this end of the transfer window. We get 3 goals in a scrappy 3-2 win against Southend away from home. Not too bad, but they are scrappy wins. I can see us being mid-table this season. Jason Lowe's not going. They wouldn't pay anywhere near 1.2, so that's not happening. Millwall in the Cup. We win on penalties. I don't like that McLean's got a knock there. That could be quite bad going forward, and it is indeed. It's 6 weeks, which is awkward because he's like our best central midfielder apart from Lowe. So he's not our best central midfielder, James, let's be honest. And the people I could bring in are like Gilmore. They've already gone on loan. So we're going to have to go to Matt Butcher, who we looked at earlier. But I do notice at this point, he can play centre-back as well as centre-mid and central defensive mid. So he could be a good one that we actually bring in. And when McLean's fit again, we can swap them over and put Butcher in centre-back. So he's going to cover for McLean if we can get him on decent wages, and then we'll swap the positions over so the squad will actually be stronger for it. I think that's actually a really astute, decent signing. Luton's going to be tough. It is tough. It's a 2-0 loss. They are a newly relegated side in this season, so it's always going to be challenging when you've got to play the newly relegated side. Transfer deadline day time. Can't see much happening, guys. It's going to mainly be outgoings because we've done the business I want to do in this window. No permanent transfers just yet. I want to see how the budget's looking in January because we are tight on those financial restraints and I don't want to overdo it. Maybe have some outgoings, but yet again, nothing's coming in that's like over 200,000, so I can't see us getting rid of players. Brockbank is good. He's one of the youth players we inherited. He's sticking around. Transfer deadline day passes. Nothing much is cracking, really. We do look at our academy there. We are going to build from this academy. They are slowly growing as well, month on month. This is where we start to skip in the calendar. We do it in this Sim to Glory. We do it month on month because I've got to come back in, do bits that I don't always show, bits where like youth players scouting. I'm checking all the reports just so we're still leveling up the players. We've got reports coming in from Scotland, England and Ireland now, so it is quite a wide net. Nothing amazing comes back from Scotland or Ireland though, which is a shame to be honest. We get good keepers. Sam Bailey from England. That's the singer off X Factor when... Oh, God, I'm old now, aren't I? Sam Bailey, we're going to bring in. He's one we are going to bring in. We're going to scout some more centre-backs, scout some more players that might have contracts running out or players that we can look at bringing in January if we need to, depending on where we are in the league. We're also going to set up some different training sessions, bringing Ward through even more. Ward's nearly at 60 overall. We're going to advance through October really quickly, coming up to the start of December in this match against Hull, which is going to be a tough one, another one of the relegated sides. And it is a 1-1 draw away from home, which I will take in this situation because that is not a bad result. Skipping through November, not too many matches in November. We've got the players that I want to bring back into the squad now, though, because we've just got some reports that they're actually back and fit. So McLean's going to come in the side. We're going to move Butcher back to centre-back, which means we've no longer got a 53 rated centre-back. And all of our team now is pretty much over 60, apart from our left-back, I think. So that is ideal. We're now in January. Youth players want out. They always want out. They've not been in the academy long enough. So if they want to cancel their contracts, they can. Not too much has gone on. The injuries have been to players that we don't really use anyway, but it does mean we do need a bit more squad depth. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the youth academy and seeing if we can bring in a centre-back, I think. This is what the priority is going to be this January. Ward is now up to 60 overall, so our entire squad is over 60. Finally. How are we in the playoffs? How are we 3 points off top? I mean, we've built a good squad, but we've been in a transfer ban last season. Right, okay. And then we're going to get battered by Brighton, obviously. Yes, we do. 3-0. And we actually played one of their players in that. And he didn't get any goals. They still haven't got rid of that in FIFA. Oh, look! Comma decided to terminate his contract. We're resorting to not even calling them players anymore. They don't have names. They are just punctuation or a small dark space next to a comma. Wonderful. The centre-back we're going to go in for is Rawatabi. Why do I do this to myself every single career mode? It's almost... I didn't actually pick this guy because of the name. I was looking at the stats, and then you look at the name and you're like, Ratubai? Rawatubai. I'll get there about 5 episodes in. I've no idea how to pronounce that, but we're going to try and go in for 350 grand. He is 63 overall. He's really strong, which is ideal for a centre-back, especially in a physical league. They've accepted that. We don't want to pay him too much. We haven't got that much money. This is literally probably going to be our only permanent transfer because We've got less money than even I thought at the start of the season. Will he take £1,000 a week with a 20 grand signing bonus? I think the signing bonus did it for us there. £1,000 a week, 63 overall, and he's 24. He's not too bad. His physical is really good as well, and he's not the slowest. There was a lot slower in terms of centre-backs, as we see another punctuation comma has decided to unfortunately terminate the contract with the club, and they will no longer be Bolton youth players. We're going to look at Diaz Sanchez here. He is one that my scout reports brought back. 61 overall, available on a free. He'll want a big deal, but I don't want to give him a big deal. I'm happy to make him an important player because he's 61 overall and he's 19. We're going to rotate him in. He doesn't count towards the youth, but we've got him for less than £1,000 a week. Happily take him on board. Bolton do get a 2-1 win over Wimbledon. Wimbledon are at the bottom of the league, though, so we should have been winning that. Coming up against Southend again, and we get a draw there. So hopefully keeping these playoff spots going. I notice here that Corey Roberts would be the perfect free. Absolutely perfect. His contract's expiring. They've let it run down. He's a realistic signing. He fits within our ethos. We could probably get him on a cheap wage. I'm definitely going to go in for him, but I'm going to look for some other players. Other ones don't impress me that much, but Corey Roberts is 65 overall. Doesn't matter if we're in League One or the Championship. I mean, Championship he won't be good enough, but we're probably going to be in League One. He does become one of our best paid players at nearly 3,500, but I think he's worth it because he's young enough. He's 23, and we can get him going forward. Omsberg. A lot of Americans want to come over to the English leagues, you find, because they dream of playing in the Prem. I wouldn't want to play in the MLS either, to be honest. I'm joking. I'm terrible. If we can get him on about £1,000 a week for a long deal, 25, 64 overall, better than the current centre-backs we've got, we'll have some really good options at the back next season. And we're kind of future-proofing just in case we did make it out of the playoffs. We've got players that would probably get relegated, but would be able to stabilise us as a solid League One club. We get a 3-1 win over Rochdale, which is exactly what we want. We might actually do something here, boys, if we carry on. Transfer deadline day again. I'm pretty happy with the business we've done, so I can't see us bringing anyone in. We might have some outgoings. You never know what can happen over the course of the day. Quite like this. James Weir, 820,000. If I can get $1 million for him, he's got to go. We are a selling club, and anything over $1 million when you're in League One is, sorry, yeah, we can't afford that. You can buy him. So we're going to have to look at probably getting a replacement in, and definitely now because they've agreed to pay it. So he is most likely on his way out of the door. We need to bring a signing in because he's one of our best, and I can't think of anyone better than the guy we had on loan last season. He's going to cost us about £10,000 a week on wages, but if you think about the investment we're going to get back, I mean, we don't actually need the transfer to go through to be able to afford him. We can just afford it. It's going to keep us in if we pay like half of his wages, but we can't pay his full wages, obviously, but I'm going to try and get him the 23 grand. If we can get him around 10, I'll be happy. This move's going to cost us around 300 grand, basically, out of the budget, if you actually add it all up. So we actually stay well under that 800,000 that I said earlier on in the episode. But even now, I don't like paying that much. We are going to pay 10 grand in wages, but hopefully this deal goes through with Weir and we can actually sort it all out. We get an offer for Reed coming in, but I can't really afford to let him go at the minute. It is a good offer. We are a selling club, obviously, but he's 17 years old. We're in the last few hours. I haven't got time to bring in a replacement for him. If he's going to go, he's most likely going in summer because we will sell him, but just not now. And that's an issue. Weir's move has broken down, so now we've got to go all in. We've got Rowe, and we've got Weir. So now we've actually got a squad that could push on. We're in the playoffs. Why not? We've spent the money. We've gone to the wire. We're nearly breaking our financial rules and the rules I've set for this career mode. We're not. We nearly are. But we've pushed it to the max of what we can do. Let's see if that pays off for us if we blast later into the career mode. Going to trim the fat of the youth academy again. I've brought in some more players as we're trying to grow them up. The Irish players just aren't seeming to cut the mustard, really, so I'm going to have to look at alternatives to Ireland. It's a shame, really. You can't really get that many unless you spend a lot on scouts, basically. Match against Lincoln. It is a 2-0 win. I do like Lincoln as a side, but I think like they are probably a team we should be beating at the minute. 2-1 win against Wickham. How dare they not play Akinfenwa, though, but it is definitely a good result for us there. We're going to set up some more training sessions here. We have moved some players about, like we're bringing another goalkeeper through just in case we have to get rid of ours eventually. We are not meeting this. This is not happening. We've not done it. We failed it because we're not going to be able to sell players now that are going to go over that are in our youth academy. It was a very hard one to do, but it means we've got to meet the financial one to avoid a complete transfer ban, but we are definitely going to at least be in a soft transfer ban next season, which means even the best case scenario is only loans and frees. I'm really hoping we actually don't get promoted now. This is where I realise that it's so much cheaper to send your scouts to anywhere that's not in the UK or Ireland. So I've been an idiot and spending too much money when we could have probably got another signing on like the 300, 400 grand that I saved. But you know, you live and learn. We're sending some off to America, and we relocate our best scout to England, things like that. So we are doing it right now. Coming up towards the end of April here, so we are at the business end. Brockbank is moaning about his contract. We can't really afford to give him one at the minute. I can have a look at it at the end of the season. Mansfield could be a tough match on the 1st of May. We get a 2-1 win there. Let's have a look at where we are in the league after that Mansfield match. It is second. We are second in the league. 3 points off the championship. And Hull are hot on our tails. We need to win our last match. We've got one more match. If we don't win it, Hull are probably going to overtake us. But how are we even here? How are we even nearly promoted? This is ridiculous. We do, however, have Nicholas Shaw coming through the youth academy. I'm going to sign him because he's already worth $500,000 and he's 16. It's ridiculous. We're going to talk it up. We're going to hype up our last match that's going to get us promoted. But with a soft transfer ban, if we do get promoted, I'm kind of concerned. Is it playoffs? Is it promotions? Shrewsbury are the only ones in the way of it. Connolly gets a brace, guys. We've done it. We're in the championship with a soft transfer ban. That's going to be fun. We've got a very League One side, and we've managed to build that. I wasn't ready for promotion. We shouldn't be. I thought maybe playoffs. Maybe. But second, I think it's because we signed Rowe. That last 6-month boost, he came in and he gave us that quality that took us over the line. So, as a manager, I look like I've made an inspired decision there, which is very handy. We will go in to give Brockbank a contract now because 64 as a right back, 22. He is one of the youth players we inherited because he was under the cap of the age range that I set last episode. He's one of the youth players that we inherited in that respect. So if we can give him $1,000 and he accepts it, it's a pay rise and it's a 3-year deal. That's a good one. We keep him in there. He can also play centre-back, so we've got many options at centre-back now. I like that. We've met the financial target at least, which means it's just a soft transfer ban. It's not a complete transfer ban, but the long-term one was failed. So that's why, going off the rules of this career mode, we are in those sanctions. It is going to be only frees and loans for us, guys. So Luton won the league by 1 point, with us just trailing on 86 points in second. Hull, Barnsley, Peterborough and MK Dons are in the playoffs. Be interesting to see who comes up with us. Bradford, Tranmere, Burton and Swindon are going down. Looking at the FA Cup, Bournemouth have beat Spurs in an FA Cup final. I'm surprised they even got to a final. And then they get to another one, losing to Chelsea in the League Cup final. So Bournemouth are having a steroid season. Hull beat Walsall in the Paint Trophy, whatever it's called now, the leasing trophies it says there. Obviously the playoffs here. MK Dons are the ones coming up with us. Barcelona beating Man United 3-2 in the Champions League final. And Milan winning the Europa League against Wolfsburg 2-0 in that final there. The Premier League, Manchester City win it with Manchester United behind them by 1 point. There's a lot of Man U fans in this, in EA, that create all this. Derby, Norwich and Stoke are going down. The Championship is next up, with Aston Villa topping the Championship and Brighton on their tail there. Aston Villa bossed that with over 100 points. West Brom, Fulham, Forest and Swansea make up the playoffs. And let's have a look where Wednesday are in 18th. I don't know what's happening, but then again, our squad isn't great on FIFA 20. Millwall, Ipswich and Portsmouth get relegated to League One, which we're trading places with now. Forest Green and Doncaster at the top of League 2, with Colchester, Walsall, Plymouth and Bristol in the playoffs there. Going down would be Morecambe, Bury, Crewe and Carlisle if they'd eventually put non-league in this game, which I really want. Looking at our players here, Ben Reid has gone up by 6 overall. He made quite a few appearances for us as well. 57 appearances, 8 clean sheets in the league as well. I don't think we're keeping hold of him over summer, boys. Ward has gone up by 5 to 62. He actually made quite a few appearances in the end. with over 30 of them in the league. White's gone up by 3, but White is definitely our second choice now. Cordner's gone up by 2. He's obviously going to go back on loan, but he's been a good signing for us. Rabutawaye has gone up to 64 overall. Good signing. Edmondson's gone up by 2 to 54. Richards has gone up by 3 to 57. Senior is one that we're not renewing his contract, but it will anyway, has gone up by 3 to 55. Brockbank's gone up by 4, deserving of that new contract and his versatility there as well. He's a good player for us, and he's going to show he's worth the money. Harrison, the right-back version of Harrison, he can play at centre-back as well, has gone up by 5 to 63. A good player there, definitely going to get used. McLean, despite his injury, has gone up by 3 to 61 overall. Lowe is still at 69. He's 29 years old now. He's stagnating at the 69 rating. Diaz Sanchez has gone up by 1 to 62. Haven't really played him, 9 appearances. Charles Murphy's gone up by 3 to 61 overall. Still under 20, a lot of these players. Weir has gone up to 66, and we've kept him, so he's going to feature for us in the championship. Graham has gone up by 3 to 58 overall. Don't really think we've used him much. Butcher has gone up by 3 to 64, but obviously, yet again, one of those that's not our player, so we're going to have to look at replacing him. Asigwe is a player we've not really used. Harner's gone up by 3 to 59 overall. Rowe is at 71 overall. I'd love us to be able to sign him. We can't afford him, but maybe, just maybe, we can bring him in on loan again for our championship season one last time. Charlie Harrison has gone up by 4 to 63 overall, so he has come up so much in 2 seasons. Connolly has gone up by 3 to 70. Yet again, hopefully we can get him back on loan next season. I would like to bring these players back, 2 players, Rowe and Connolly, that really helped us. If not, though, we've got Pelopessi, who is our signing. He's not very happy. He's only made 7 appearances. He's moaned a lot during this season for not playing, but he is going to get there. Connor Hall is at 65 as well, so we've got 2 decent strikers in Pelopessi and Hall. Brown Sterling has gone up by 4 to 57, and Eddie Brown has gone up by 3 to 58. So it's not the worst squad in the world going into the championship, but it's definitely not a squad that I can see keeping us there, especially when we're going to have to rely on loans and free transfers. We're going to have to do our best with it. Get those suggestions in the comments. Loans, free transfers. It is obviously now we're 2 seasons in, so it'll be going to the 3rd season. Think about that when you give your suggestions in the comments. But for now, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all those things, and keep watching right here on Dexterity Box.